So I think we might get started. I'm really delighted to see you all, and also I know that it means a lot to take an hour out of your busy schedules. So just sending you deep appreciation for your presence and attention and your support of our conversation series and of Márta's work. So yeah, deep bows. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of Dharawal country here in Wollongong, Australia, and pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging, and recognise their ongoing care and custodianship of land, waters, and community. So I'm Nadine. I'm dialing in from Wollongong, which is about an hour and a half from Sydney. I'm connected to the Nantian Temple, which is one of the biggest temples in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm sitting here in the Institute, which is a higher education institute that offers a variety of postgraduate courses in Buddhist studies, Buddhist health, and mental health. So that's a bit about me. And I was really delighted to hear of Márta's beautiful new film. And I have had the privilege of having a sneak peek. And I'm very moved and very appreciative for the film and the work and creativity that she's put into it. So we thought we'd invite Márta today to talk about spirituality, creativity, and the film itself, Meeting the Buddha. So I'd like to introduce Márta Kessler here today. She's an internationally acclaimed documentary filmmaker, writer, and producer, and her work explores the transformative power of spiritual encounter and personal journey. She's directed this film, which is touring in Australia at the moment, called Meeting the Buddha. And it traces the life of the 16th Karmapa and the living transmission of Tibetan Buddhism in contemporary life, in particular in the West. And it blends rare archival footage, which I loved seeing, Márta. It was really touching, intimate interviews, and animation, which was really spectacularly done in a very modern and contemporary way, to illuminate timeless wisdom in modern contexts. She also has produced an earlier film called Hannah, Buddhism's Untold Journey, which has screened widely, including on Netflix, and it has been celebrated across the globe for its depth and its narrative grace. Márta first encountered Buddhism through her meetings with Lama Ole and Hannah Nydahl, I don't know if I'm saying that right, in 1990. And this experience has continued to shape her creative and her spiritual path. So Márta, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's really lovely to be here. And thank you everyone who came. Thank you.
Márta, I wanted to start off. Firstly, you might tell us a little bit about what happened last night, and a little bit about the film. You don't have to tell us too much. And then I was going to share a video by someone called Jingmei Rinpoche, who tells us a little bit about what you're trying to do with the film. So yeah, what were you doing, Márta, last night?
So yesterday night we had a premiere here in Perth of the film, and it was really exciting. We had quite many members of the Buddhist community here in Perth, the Diamond Way Center, and also from abroad who traveled, and also some people from Perth. We had a radio interview in ABC, and I could say, hey, there are still some tickets, even it looks like sold out, and some people turned up, which was really nice because it's always nice to see someone who doesn't really know anything about Buddhism or general, and this openness for that. So it was a beautiful night. It's in the beginning we had some photos, and after that everyone was moved, which is actually for me it's a success. Even it's not that happiness one expects, but taking an emotional journey, I think, and it was nice, and we had lovely conversations and nice. It was really nice to hear the feedback. Also, there were two lovely ladies from the Buddhist Council, and we were talking about Buddhism general, Buddha's teaching, different aspects. So it was really, really nice. And it's for me very touching. And this is actually what is success, to see how it moves anyone else. And
It doesn't surprise me that there were some wet faces at the end of the film.
yeah,
Because I think in a way it takes you into a very personal territory. And the relationship between Lama Ole and Hannah it hits you straight in the heart. Very beautiful.
yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
so if it's all right with everyone, I'm going to share a video. Yeah.
Hello, good morning to all of you. I'm today in New Delhi. Hello, good morning to all of you. I'm today in New Delhi, so that's why we are morning here. I wanted to introduce a little bit a film called Meeting with the Buddha. So this is actually main purpose is how Buddhism develop and oversee from India, all the countries, West and East both. In this film, Western people went to meet Tibetan lamas, then how develop Buddhism in a Western country. Special, actually right now West, but we also in Australia and New Zealand, all the Asian countries also. There is so many way to develop, but here Pacific is around the 1960s. Some Western people are interested in Buddhism, and then they find a really value and meet Tibetan Lama Karmapa. Karmapa is one of the most important Lama in Tibet because we have 4 different lineage schools. Different time Tibetan people went in India and value of the teaching and brought in Tibet and established. So they are one of the lineages called Kagyu, and here Pacific Karma Kagyu, which is a link with the Karmapa. This film also will show biography of the Karmapa. And then link with this during the 52 years now, and developed in the Buddha Dharma in Western country. There is a few line went, but this is one of the Karmapa's activity went in. So there is a Western person called Lama Ole Nydahl, so he met Karmapa, and through this his commitment and went to different continents, Europe, North America, South America, then Asia. So during the 50 years, how engage would bring Dharma into the countries. And then they will show a little bit good result. So I hope you will enjoy seeing this film. And also I will make a lot of wishes and prayer and hope to be enjoy with all what you can see in the film. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. That gives us a sense of the film, I think. So thank you for sharing that with us, Márta. Okay, so I wanted to start off by asking you a bit of a personal question, Márta, about how you first encountered Buddhism and how that experience shaped your creativity following that.
Thank you, first of all, for sharing this video. I just made some screenshots. It's a really nice memory and shared with some friends. That's what we do. Well, how I met Buddhism, I was very young. I grew up myself. It was the question, yeah, how I met Buddhism. I was still taken away from the videos.
Oh, yes, yeah. How you first encountered it, yeah.
Yeah, so actually I was very young once upon a time, and I grew up in actually I'm Hungarian. It's a minority. It was a minority in Romania. And I grew up in the dictatorship, kind of dictatorship back then. And the freedom of the mind was really important for me. I mean, for many of us of this generation. And we were very much looking for something like, we didn't have really on the outer level, a material level, which was, for some, it was kind of suffering. We survived. It was okay. We had some food, but, nothing like what you could look for. And so we were really, really into this, what is your capital, let's put it in this way. And the freedom of the mind, the meaning of life. And this is how actually we managed to find some people who met some people who got some teaching, because it was forbidden any spiritualism back then. So this is how it started. And then when I was in Budapest, I moved there, I bought a book. It was Buddha's Life and Teachings. And it was a simple book with like Buddhist advices on certain topics. And I was like, wow, that's really something. I think it's so simple, and yeah, I also like it. And then later on, I met Lama Ole Nydahl because we were looking for some teacher, somebody who can tell more. And then he came in 1990 in Budapest, and we were some of us, and we went to check it out. And this is how it started. And we liked it very much. And it was very it's quite refreshing, and his kindness and loving kindness, and he spoke a little bit our language. It was easier. Not only the language, of course, not Hungarian, but a little bit in a modern way. I mean, just normal, simple way explaining this timeless teaching. So this is how everything we could connect with, yeah, especially with, as I said, this freedom of the mind was super important, and no boxes, no judgment, and beyond of these materialistic values, which was very important for us.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something emphasized in the film. I thought that idea of freeing ourselves from our mental prison. And so yeah, I'm moved that it was also something that, compelled you as well. Yeah, and so what about your creative journey? How did you start that, Marta, and did the two intersect?
Well, my first profession, one can say, I loved, I mean, acting. I'm an actress. I went to the drama school, which I loved really very much to share this with others. But getting into the show business also as a woman, it's an interesting way. Let's leave it in this way. And then I decided, especially when I became Buddhist, it didn't fit so much with my values. I couldn't handle so well all this jealousy and envy. I'm sure it also exists somewhere else, but there it was a big challenge. So I didn't went on. Later on, I became a movement therapist. I moved to Germany. But later on, so many, many years later, when after Hannah Nydahl passed away, she was the wife of Lama Ole, and she was a wonderful woman, also a little bit my mentor as well, and helped me a lot, and like a friend, and yeah, in many ways, she was really, really, really amazing and important person in my life. And then after she passed away, and many people loved her very much and asked about her, I was like, oh, let's do something about her. And some people said, let's do a documentary. And I will go like, yeah, let's do it without knowing what I'm starting. and and this is how it started. And I guess, I mean, creativity is something there, and I think in everyone, in a certain ways, I don't think it has to be only one kind of creativity. One can do whatever one does, if it's the own beautiful garden or home, or expressing oneself, writing or telling stories. And I think also filmmaking is in a way sharing, telling stories. It's a narrative, what we give a voice, one says like that. So this is how it went on. And I started with a friend from London, in a filmmaker. And this is where I would say I learned in a lot, and I did a lot of experience. And that's why I could do this second film also by my own, more like a producer and director.
Yeah, it felt very much like an act of devotion,
Yeah.
your filmmaking. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And you gave people a glimpse into what you had benefited from. People also
Yeah.
got that sense about it. Yeah, thank you. And what about your meditation and spiritual practice? Does that kind of inform your storytelling, that contemplative approach?
Yeah, you don't talk so much about, isn't it? If spiritual practice, but of course, it's everything, isn't it? I mean, our practice is like the way we are, and whatever Buddhism we are practicing, it's really an expression of our mind. And I'm sure let's put it in other way. I think whatever we do, and for me was also creating these films, it was part of my practice. This is like whatever we do in our life, and this is how I could handle many things, like, because of course there are heaps of challenges you are facing. And this is also, I said, okay, this is now I make it into my practice, and just include it, and to understand, to handle it. So this is how it is. But of course, as you said, this film and also the Buddhism I'm practicing, the Vajrayana, is also very much connected to the path of devotion. This is like how it is, and having this inspiring examples really gave me a lot and became part of my practice as well. But without daily practice, I don't think it's possible. It's like our daily mind hygienic, isn't it? So
Yeah. But there was also something else I heard in the film that was perhaps it moved us beyond seeing Buddhism just as mindfulness, and it was about service and this sense that there was a quote in there about, helping people when they come to you. And I thought that's something in Buddhism that we don't talk about in the West as much. And it's then true in the Mahayana and Vajrayana approach. And I really got that from it, like this kind of commitment, the bodhisattva commitment. If someone comes to me, I help them. Yeah,
exactly. And this is our way. This is what we are practicing. And I think it's very important because I think it gives us also the opportunity to deal with the people we have to deal with, like say left to, or we choose to deal with. And this is really something like, I think it's a great path. It's a challenging path because I think if we open up to the others, and it's more and more to understand what love and loving kindness is, it's a way, but in a smart way, in a wise way, that we really choose to help others with wisdom and like sometimes practical wisdom. So I think this is what I learned a lot, and I hope we can inspire many. This is what the teachers are showing at the grade 16 Karmapa, and who is coming in our film, also in my film, what one can see, that who comes from hidden Tibet, and his vision, to send so many different people and put these seeds around the world in a culture which he actually doesn't really know, and how it grows. I think it's amazing, this courage. Yeah, we are talking also about courage. Bodhisattvas are also the heroes of enlightenment, it's called, because they have the courage just to go on and do things for the others. And I think this is really inspiring, because I think sometimes we forget about this quality of ours, that we are strong and we can make it and we can do a lot for the others beyond of our comfort zone or kind of conceptual limits.
Yeah, that's lovely. So in deciding to make this particular film, was there kind of a moment where you decided, or something that inspired you, that made you think, I need to document this and I need to put this out into the world?
Well, actually, I think it was rather a process. It was a response as well, because I was traveling with Hannah, my first film, around the world. I mean, there were a few screenings in different countries, and a lot of screenings to public where, I mean, there was not particular Buddhist audience, yeah, just like everyone else. And it was very interesting because I could see it was also for me a huge learning process to understand. As Buddha says, everybody wants to be happy, and everybody can relate to this and asking questions. And actually, I got asked a lot of questions about this protagonist. A lot of people asked, so who is this 16 Karmapa? And can we know more about him? Or who is Ole Nydahl? Who is Lama Ole Nydahl? What happened to the husband? How is going on? And so actually, because of this request or interest, this idea of the film developed, because I said it's also nicer to see that there is a interest in the story. It was really nice. It made it easier to develop this. And then I said, okay, let's do something. And we started developing the story and thinking about putting together how it can go on.
And for me, what I got from it was a real focus on relationships. Like, it was very much, the narrative focus was about the relationship between the 16th Karmapa and Lama Ole, and then also Lama Ole and Hannah. And so, yeah, tell me a bit more about that kind of narrative focus.
Yes, thank you. You got it well. It's a great feedback. It was actually also a little bit, let's say, intention. One can use this word. I mean, I think my English is okay, but maybe I might not use always the right words. Yeah, I think so. It's about these bonds. Yeah, it's about relationship, as you say. It's about the bond of teacher-student. It's about the bond between people, this connectivity, what we all share. And so we have protagonists, but also it's not only about persons. And this is like beyond personal, but this love, these connections, what we share with each other. And this is also, it's so amazing because these bonds, this relationship, they really move things. And this is also shows that how much we can do through this love, what we share, this loyalty, this respect and devotion towards what the student has towards the teacher. I think this is amazing, like goes really beyond of concepts. And also this relationship between Lama Ole and Hannah, this is really, I mean, this is not a classical love story, just one would expect, and they were together until they died, but it actually, they worked hard. So it's not that romantic or not that sentimental as the word would expect, but it was more a beautiful, a perfect, also working relationship to the benefit of all beings. And this devotion, I mean, it's very seldom to have that in a couple both of them have this devotion to the same thing, like a meaningful life and work hard for the others. It's really to be devoted to a quest or something to share with the people, like Buddha's teaching. It's really, I mean, I hope we could show a little bit a glimpse of it in the film, but it's hard work. It's hard work and a lot of patience. I mean, for me, it's really inspiring to see the patience what they had with the people, because it's just to share with whoever and wait and repeat and say the same and travel and live in certain conditions, which maybe it's not interesting for a short while, but the whole life, it's quite something.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I think that, like, in a way, we're moving more and more into this culture of narcissism in the West, where people think that they need to put themselves forward and advocate for themselves and undercut other people and compete. And there's something so beautiful about the archival footage, because you can see just a lack of narcissism, just like self-cherishing is gone, and they are at the service of, you know, this huge community of thousands of people, but also, as you say, like living in very humble conditions, moving from place to place. And in Hannah's teachings, I mean, you'd probably be able to tell us about this. She speaks really from a place of humility. It's, you know, it's not an expert position. And I was just really struck by that, because we're so bombarded through social media. We're bombarded by this kind of narcissistic narrative that people have at the moment. Yeah.
You say so, exactly. This is it. I like to say, maybe I'm a little bit like, I think we let ourselves be bombarded because it's a free choice. It's
Yeah.
really something, also, if it was the TV or anything else, but clearly this is the society of where one has everything and it has to be even better and a better furniture, it's a better whatever, and exchange it, all of it, this the consumer society. But it's so beautiful. We have also in the general in Buddhism, we take refuge in the Sangha, isn't it? And this is the Sangha, the community of practitioners. This is really like a basis for us. And I think this is so amazing what we have. I think any kind of Buddhist community or practice is so important. There is a community, there is somebody with whom we can share these values. And what is interesting, what Lama Ole and Hannah shared with us, that to and showed us that actually it's more valuable if we think of others and share what we have. And it's not only about the material things, but the joy, the whatever we experience, and to focus. And actually part of our practice, like the mandala offering or others, that we meditation we do, and we share all sentient beings, so that just we open up our mind. It's so important. And I think this is amazing because they were great examples, but also introduced us to this, as you say, not only focusing on our own I, me benefit, but also a little bit of the others. And it's a great, I think it's a great value which can make many people happier. And Ole and Hannah actually, they showed us that we can, if we learn to, in one hand, be in the community. That's why we have Buddhist centers, but everybody goes to work and being part of society. This is the like a Mahayana Vajrayana Buddhism, what we are practicing, the Diamond Way. Then if we are also part of the society, we learn to connect with everyone, because it's important in the working place. Somebody asks, hey, what are you doing? How are you dealing with your things? And we can say, I learned meditating, or this is Buddha's teaching. So it's really to share. This is so important. This is, as what you say, to share and also include others in our lives. It's quite something.
And also, in a strange way, we often think that we're going to miss out, or we're going to lose some part of ourselves when we do this. And I think what the film reminded me of was the fact that I mean, firstly, Hannah and Lama Ole seem very secure and very strong people with strong personalities. And just because they offer themselves in service does not make them weak at all. In fact, it makes them stronger. And that really came through. It was very kind of reaffirming to me, because I thought, you actually have to be quite secure in yourself in order to serve others in this beautiful way. And so, yeah, I just was really, I mean, you highlighted Lama Ole's strength throughout the film. Yeah.
Yeah, this is something also, they are Danish people. I guess this also gave them more strength, and it's also part of this generation. I think it's quite amazing to be the hippie generation somehow in the West. They really broke through some conventions. It was really something, not like today. Today is a bit different. I don't think it worse, but we have other challenges for sure. And this strength, this idealism, this courage, and they stayed with them. And also, just to spread this word with this passion, Buddha's teaching, I think it was very useful. And certain kind of people connect to them. I mean, sometimes we are the wild one, the party guys, it's like everybody needs something else. And we needed really this fearless, fierce, joyful examples and loving examples, which are really out of any boxes, can show us something, value, and many people, that's why many people could connect. But also, Lama Ole and Hannah, is the Karmapa, 17 Karmapa said once, the reason why they have so many students also because they made everyone to their family. They were eating with everybody, they were partying with everybody. They wouldn't stop. They had no problem to let everyone in and share time. And this is really amazing if you can do this to make everyone to your family. It's a huge one. It's a huge family.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I'm sure it comes with lots of challenges as well, because family members are not always easy.
Exactly. Yeah, but they could handle it well and with love. I mean, this is also to be able to keep all the time the Buddhist view and the values. I mean, but these are the bodhisattvas, isn't it? Everywhere else, bodhisattvas have the power and the strength because they have this developed state of mind from other lifetimes probably as well.
And Marta, I know we've got some creative people in the audience today, and people who write, and there might even be people who make films as well. And I wondered if you were to offer any advice on how you might explore spiritual themes through creativity. It's a hard question. What would you say to people involved in this field?
I think what I would say as a Buddhist or non-Buddhist is like, excuse me, talking. I think what gives us strength, sometimes whatever we do, creative or not creative, and if we face challenges, sometimes one feels like, oh, it's so hard, or I don't know how to deal with it, or one has difficulties with different kind of people because we are also so different. And I think this is the challenge. I think what gives strength and even space and creative ideas, if we are already creative, is no problem. I think everybody has a creative life. We all know this. It's just the aspect of the mind, which also together with loving kindness and wisdom, it can really appear. But what we need, if I think I always, when we get stalked or we don't know, I think if we think we do it for the others, and doesn't matter what it is, I think it really gives a lot of strength just to switch it. And when one thinks, oh, I don't know what to do, and he's so difficult, or she just so annoying, doesn't get what I want to make, or why this thing doesn't work. And I think if you just think, oh, may I do it to benefit of all being, may I make people happy with it, inspire, whatever it is, doesn't matter the topic. I think it's not about Buddhism. It's just whatever we do, I think it gives some extra thing. And sometimes we get stuck because think it's it's so boring, or I don't know why I am. And if you think we do it for the others, I think it gives a different. So this is my tip. Whatever to do, just a little bit to work with the view where we get stuck and think, okay, I can do it for everyone. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've got a question about the teacher-student relationship, because in a way, the way that the Dharma has been carried to the West, we've watered down a lot of aspects of Buddhism. And there's now something that we refer to as global Buddhism, which is a mixture of all types of traditions. And many people who are engaged in contemporary global Buddhism find information on the internet. They might go to some meditation courses, but they rarely have a connection to one spiritual teacher. And I know that that is central to, Vajrayana Buddhists. And I think in a way, you're emphasizing the teacher-student relationship and its importance to transmission, the transmission of Buddhism to other countries, and in particular to the West in Europe. So I wondered if you could talk to that, the teacher-student dynamic, and if it's something you still see as really important and how we might think of it in modern times.
Well, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's personal, but also not personal if you look at the teaching very deeply. There are very traditional teachings about it. In order to have like qualified teacher, one needs to check the teacher as well, because it's this way of identification. It's a very powerful way. So it's also said in the classical teaching, one needs to check the teacher that he's compassionate, is just working for the others, and wants to make others free, not dependent. And there are a lot of qualities. It's advised for the student to check the teacher. It's important. And Buddha's teaching, as we all know, is for also to be, in one hand, also critical, like to ask the questions, to be also independent. Buddhism is about independent mind. This is the one aspect. The other aspect, of course, for the quick way in the Vajrayana, if one has a qualified teacher, someone who inspires us, someone who really shows that actually there is for others, and it's who understands the nature of his or her mind, then we open up, because there is a connection, a karmic connection. It's not an intellectual process. Of course, important to understand the teachings, but if there is this connection and there is a bodhisattva, a Buddha who actually expresses Buddha's qualities, we can open up, because this loving kindness, this courage, all these qualities, we don't even know what it is so inspiring. It really touches us. This is what it will happen to me, and I think it happens to us when a teacher inspires us with his kindness and love and freedom, whatever it is. It's really something. This is how we can go on this way. And of course, I think it's not for everyone. And with this media thing, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a younger generation, but not so young anymore. But I think meeting in person is really something, and I think it's important in a way. Sometimes, like to meet a teacher in person is just put some effort. And I mean, if you look back on the stories, like sometimes, I mean, if I talk about Tibet and I guess in other countries, this is what I know the most. People had to walk for weeks or did a lot of effort to meet the teacher. On the other hand, it's amazing to have the advantage of our time, because one can really uh, just get the teachings and also get involved in this way, which is really amazing. So it's also an enriching condition. Yeah, I mean, when I started Buddhism in Hungary, we had one book, and it was very hard to access any teachings in our time. We have a lot, but then again, it's too much, and sometimes the danger of not having an authentic transmission. I think this is more what I'm concerned sometimes, that's so much mixed and also made a little bit of a kind of market.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to dodge. It's not, who am I? I don't know, but sometimes I think it's good to have the right quality. On the other hand, mindfulness became so big, which is also maybe, if it's helpful, if there is one light of Buddha's teaching helps many, how cool is that? Though without compassion sometimes, or understanding the true teachings, it's quite a challenge. But going back to Vajrayana, this relationship also from outside could seem like, wow, it's like a personal cult or what is it? But it's always been the power of the Vajrayana. So the teacher-student relationship, if you look at life stories, it's always like the teacher makes sure, if there is a connection, helps the students to understand the nature of his or her mind. And then it means on the outer level, then the student goes through a lot of challenges, yeah, and in order to be able to let go things, and not on the outer level, but concepts, ideas, etc. So this connection is quite important. And if we are lucky and we have many bodhisattvas and buddhas, they who really also practice, because the Buddhist practice is the source of realization and understanding of
Really
everything.
helpful. And I mean, I think, yes, of course, it's an intimate relationship, and that by definition makes students particularly vulnerable if they've chosen a teacher who isn't wise or
Yes.
doesn't understand mind in that way. And that's part of living in this messy human life. We sometimes assess people incorrectly, but when it is working, it's a deeply kind of relational, emotional process. And in my personal experience, having a teacher helps transform my emotional life, not just my intellectual life. And that's very significant, because I think we can operate on the level of the intellect and it doesn't kind of drop down into our bones. And there's a risk of that. I think we're reading across lots of traditions. So I really appreciated that was emphasized. And, the Vajrayana might not be for everyone, but having trusted guides, therapists, teachers, loved ones, and the power of relationality, I think was like a lesson that we could apply across the board.
Absolutely. And at the same time, that's so important. Lamole always said when we move to a new city and we go to a dentist, we are very much looking around because we don't want anybody go to our mouth. But if we give our mind to someone, we have to be really, really also at the same time critical not to get brainwashed. And that's why I think it's so good to have this both, to be open when we give ourselves. It's really important to find, if we have a teacher and we have openness, also to be critical. And this is hard sometimes, but it's important to look at the teacher, because this is what we can become. We take over the qualities. This is the power of devotion. So therefore, if we have a good teacher, a good master, then we have a good chance. So I think it's really required to be also aware. I think this is also what Buddha is teaching, isn't it? So it's really good to have both. And on the same time, if we find a master, or as you say, a good mentor or loving person, sometimes it can be also our parents if we are lucky. Yeah, not always. Or a good teacher. Sometimes, like people who are wise can show some ways. But on the Buddhist path, to have a master who is really wise, it's really so nice and liberating. Yeah, where someone who knows and also knows us and understands us. It's really a great support.
Okay, so one last question and then I'll open it up to the floor. If there was one thing that you wanted your viewers to experience or understand from meeting the Buddha, what would it be?
But I wanted you to understand.
Yeah, what would the
Wow.
viewers?
Always difficult to put down on one thing. I hope, well, anyone can get inspired a little bit, something from Buddha's teaching, something, any liberating thought or idea, and something what makes anyone happier. And if not this, then at least to ask the right questions or trigger, just to open up for some new values, maybe.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Márta. I'm going to put down my role as the interviewer.
Thank you.
And I'd love to ask anyone from the floor to ask Márta a question about Buddhism, creativity, the Karmapa, Lama Ole Hana, anything that tweaked your interest. Darren.
Thanks, Nadine. And thank you, Marta, for both films. Truly, truly inspirational. I can't wait to see them both. So they weren't on my radar. So thank you for
Thank you.
Nantian again to bringing wisdom to the students. But I think from that creative lens, because I'm currently developing storytelling for the New South Wales government. So I'm really
Wow.
So how do we, and as a Buddhist, how do we integrate? So I guess it's a unique opportunity for me to ask you, again, kind of what storytelling techniques did you actually use to convey that transmission of wisdom? and especially in the age of AI, but it's something that's really tangible, other than just a series of events, which most documentaries it's just this. But was there something specifically a technique that you used or developed? Thank you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I try to answer your question. I hope I can, but so I don't think it's a technique. I mean, what we were focusing, I mean, from our perspective, it was the storytelling, like interviewing people, and they tell real true stories. I mean, of course, there are facts, like for example, life stories of people, or where we talk about old Tibet. Then we use the visual storytelling is important, so we used animation. It was expensive and a lot of work, but it was really beautiful. I'm happy that kind of animation which showed as much as close as possible to the reality. But the voice and narrative is important, to have the people who tell their own the true stories. So having time witnesses,
I
it
love.
was really amazing. They explained some stories from Tibet or from other time, or telling things in a way that it also connected to some situation and some story, not like, and this happened and that happened and we went there and we went there, but just like, somebody. I mean, I really went around and interviewed certain kind of people, Tibetans in Tibetan, and we had to translate it, but it was still more vivid and alive. For example, Khenpo Drak Rinpoche, who was talking about, because he knew 16 Karmapa, he's a Khenpo, a high professor of Tibetan Buddhism knowledge, but he also heard it from Karmapa himself. So immediately the story was like vivid and alive from that time. I think this alive, to feel it with life, is important. Otherwise, it's very boring. And this is really the challenge, isn't it? And also the pace of the stories. And I mean, it's different ways to do it, but it just I try to focus not really the people who tell the poor stories, but what they say. So it's not about talking heads, but just it gets a kind of flow that it's interesting, that the audience, and it takes away the audience also emotionally. So that's why the visual journey and the music is, of course, important, and not too slow
No, no, no. Quick,
and
quick.
not too quick. This
Not
is the thing. Not too quick as well, so that people
nice.
can also absorb a little bit.
The beauty, the beauty. I know I've had an idea how I would like the film to end, but I think listening to those stories, did any of those stories actually change where you went with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I always say this film has its own life, and I'm just trying to, that's interesting where it goes. So it's
Love it.
also, this is the creativity, isn't it? So we have some directions, of course, and I think it's really important to work with a clear structure. So we put a lot of time and energy to have, I don't know, we had 14 chapters of this big story, and then you go some different themes, and then you move around. But when you start putting together, then it gets its own life, and you go like, let's put here something and just move around. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for your wonderful question.
We have a question from Fasiha, who's on the chat from Pakistan, who says, thanks.
Wow.
Cool.
That's
Thanks for your
amazing.
talk. My question is there any particular video filming or cinematic technique which you find most effective in showing any Buddhist principle like mindfulness, impermanence, compassion, or suffering?
Wow, that's a big question. It's a huge question. I think it depends on what we tell, isn't it? So I think always what I mean, it depends on who is the audience. Let's put it in this way. So we tried, this film is also more also for the general public as well. If I think it makes a difference to whom is it addressed, isn't it? So if we do it for the general public, it's a bigger challenge always. But one uses techniques, whatever we use general for film storytelling, and storytelling is a big piece of art. I think one can do the visual storytelling, the any other thing. And I think examples are good. It just, and I don't know, I think also, for example, people say it's a very powerful film, but also I interviewed and I use a lot of footage of realized Buddhist masters. And this is the difference. If somebody speaks from experience, it's very powerful. isn't it? And I think explaining experience, it's a big challenge. So in the film, how to tell this, put it together, I think it's always less is more, maybe sometimes, but finding the right words and finding the right people who tell, and visually to give sometimes something, it's helpful. But I think it's hard to say general, because it depends on which kind of technique or content what you want to share. If it's about something calming the mind, there are also different techniques, isn't it? So sometimes one needs a contrast in order to get the rest and the silence in, because otherwise, if it's just only silence shared, then you fall asleep. I'm just saying like this, yeah. So just an example, if you know what I mean. So one needs to see what is exactly the contrast that one can get it.
Yeah.
Or I get a question
Yeah.
here where we can see the film. Now I need to be. I watched the trailer of YouTube. Is it available like Apple TV or Amazon? It will come. It will come. We are very beginning of our journey. It's Australia is actually, I'm glad it's very early in the screening part of around the world, but I'm sure it will come. We will put it on Apple and also Amazon, everywhere else. I hope I could answer your question about video filming cinematic technique which you find most effective. I hope, Fascia, I could, from Pakistan, I could give something, but yeah.
Mhm. Yes, it's like you're for someone who's not a filmmaker, I can hear when you answer a question like that, the technical aspects of your job. And so, for example, the idea of contrast is something that has never come into my mind as a viewer, but I can see now how you use it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is really, I think, one cannot give a general answer, and everybody would explain it differently for sure. And look, this is my second film. I don't want to, I don't know how good I am or not. It's just always a big questions. But my experience is like, I think it's important to, depends on also like who is the audience, and just to take the audience emotionally along. I think this is really important. Giving facts and information, this is a big challenge, isn't it? Because we have so much information out there, and but to give something where the people can be touched and taken away and make them think, I think this is really good. But it's a big challenge, that's true. That's why it's important who is talking in the film and who is the delivering the message. And yeah.
Any other questions? Camille.
Yeah. Thank you, Marta and Nadine. Such an inspiring conversation. And Marta, thank you, because you shared, some of your process and experience so very generously with all of us. So I think my question is probably about process as well. But you used animation, and you mentioned that was expensive. So I assume you collaborated with people on that. And then you also very briefly mentioned music and the importance of music in your work. So I just wonder if you could talk a little bit more about music. How did you approach the music? Was it in collaboration?
Wow.
How do you, use it as a technique to carry a message and the message of the people, in the documentary?
I mean, I'm not the biggest expertise there. I really try, but I'm still amateur on that. I had also amazing people in the team who helped, like Adam Penny. Also, he's a co-producer who helped. I think music, if you talk about music, it's really, it's a big challenge. I mean, I wish, for example, I would have more time. We had also some deadline to deal with it. It's just such a big thing. Music is really a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful instrument as such to carry the emotional, to push the emotional buttons at the audiences, isn't it? It does a lot with us. Well, one has to, I think one needs to, I don't know, I'm not a composer, so I think if somebody's a composer works differently, but we worked with a composer, it's a challenging way, because for example, delivering something, I'm just saying, like, from the director perspective, as is, one has to be careful that the music is also not too cheesy, too sentimental, to keep it more neutral and giving space. But if it's subtle and beautiful, like, that's why I think classical music is like, I don't know if you call it classical always, but just kind of classical music always gives you more chance to give the elegant, for example, the content of this film, to keep it elegant and give some space for the audience mind to absorb the content. I think music can sometimes take away too much attention of what is said, if it's somebody talking or some message is delivered. So I think music is a very, very powerful thing. But on the other hand, it's also very playful, so one can play with it. And it's just, I also think it's really nice. Everybody has a different taste and wants to use something, a different approach with it. Yeah. But it was a big challenge, I must admit. It's really to get there. I think music cannot be too dominant. If the music is too dominant, we cannot bring across what should be. So needs to be taken careful. And we got an animation. It's also, I learned this first time I used it. It was so much. It's really time consuming. I mean, we worked on the animation in 10 minutes for a year, and every day I had to look at things, and we looked at things. Is it good? And the person looks like this. How is the body language? Is it? But also because it's documentary. So for example, we used animation for showing things from Tibet or whatever. It had to be also correct. Yeah. So it's not like a creative thing. Of course, it was creative. They did such a beautiful work, but we were also precise. No, the hairline is not correct, the hand shape, which is really hard. But it was the result. Actually, I'm really happy about and thankful for the amazing work.
Thank you. Like, that's a very comprehensive answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question, Márta, just in relation to funding. Is that a challenge, or has that just come, from different sources?
Funding is always a challenge, isn't it? Whatever we do. But also, of course, as a community, it was like, I mean, it is a way low budget film, because many of us work for free, so I didn't really earn money on that. But on the other hand, it's also because it's a power of the community. So we were funding a lot from Buddhist practitioners, which is amazing because they found it really meaningful and important. And it came across the way. So we were also always like thinking, for example, to make this decision to make this animation, even if it wasn't like, it was quite costly, you say, like it was really, but this is also something, it's a quality, it was worth it because it gave the film such an amazing dimension and beauty, and we could tell a story more rich, and we could tell more about it. So it was really something but we did it step by step. I mean, the whole film, like, developing, and sometimes we needed more, and we did some kind of fundraising campaign and people's talks. But it was, yeah, we were lucky, but probably it was meaningful as well, and wish of many people to have this film. So this is also nice in a way, yeah. So it's a lot of private donation came together, and some organizations, of course, and we were also supported by the Film Institute in Hungary. We asked for support with the animation, which was really nice. They liked what we did. So here and there, step by step. It's a challenge. But I think it's important to ask, if one asks around, that it's also, it's a freedom. So everybody who feels connected is fine. And then, yeah. But I'm very grateful. It was really nice to have the support of everyone. Thank you. Also, the Lama, I must say that because many Lamas found it really meaningful, this film, it really helped. So it also kind of gives, let's say, confirmation from a different department. Yeah. So when Bodhisattvas think it's inspiring and good content, so we had also you saw the video with Lama Jigme Rinpoche. He's also like he was an advisor, and he said it's really good, the direction we do, and it's a good film. It really gives a quality, I would say, kind of confirmation, and it really helped also to say, okay, we are doing something meaningful and inspiring for everyone, which it helped a lot.
Yes, in a way, it's the whole community's film. It's not just an individual.
Yes.
And yeah, that's
Exactly.
beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Was there anyone else who wanted to ask a question? Because there's one in the chat, but I wondered if anyone whose camera's come on, if there's no. Okay, so Fasiha again says, I think Fasiha is saying that, are you feeling more satisfied during the creative process or when you see people's responses to your work?
Well, I think both, isn't it? It's both, and I mean, it was a very interesting part of creating it, challenging. But of course, it feels so good that all the challenge and the hardship one went through, it was worth it. I mean, very honest. It's a my human response to that. It's really, you never know, yeah. I mean, you never know what you do it gets good, but. I got to at one point where and I understood that doubt is a luxury item I cannot afford because it's just that doesn't move me nowhere at one point if I'm doubting myself around. So actually both, but it's really, really nice that when you go through all of these challenges of decisions and is it like that? It's a lot of thousands of little decisions one has to do. And luckily, having people who help out, it's a lot of friends and professionals who helped out on this. But still, you never know, yeah, but now is nice. It's a good feeling, definitely. It's a good feeling. I'm really happy that it makes people happy and they are inspired. It's the most important thing. I mean, maybe for some it's not a good film, maybe for some it's a good film, but this most important that it reaches people out. It was for me very important.
Well, Marta, I think we've reached the end of our time. I just want to thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for your time.
Thank you for everyone. It's really, really nice talking to you from everywhere and wishing you all the best and happiness and meaningful and interesting life. And it's really, really nice meeting you all, isn't it? Aren't we all lucky? So it's really, really nice. So take care and maybe see you. And I hope you can somehow see our film. And spread the
Marta,
word,
is
please.
there...
Spread the word. I just wanted to say we are I'm sorry, on
No,
Instagram because it works. It's a good thing called Meeting the Buddha, also Facebook. So you
great.
can follow us there. We have a website as well. So, but Instagram is so quick. So just you will be informed there as well. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say there are some screenings coming up. That's what I was going to mention. So they'll be able to find the screenings in Australia coming up on Instagram. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.